and stuff. Just wanted to show you this as well.
About me? I didn't even fight last night. It's Dana.
Dana White's words landed like a bomb. He flat out refused to utter Tom Aspinall's name, shutting down all questions about the interim champion's devastating eye injury and any potential rematch talks. The air went frigid with unspoken implications. This wasn't just a snub, it was a clear warning shot, hinting at a future for Aspinall that no one saw coming, a future where the UFC might just be done with one of its brightest stars. The heavyweight division, already a chaotic mess, was about to descend into total darkness, and the silence from the top spoke volumes about a fight that no one wants to talk about.
Tom Aspinall, and is there a rematch in the works?
Oh, Jesus, don't let me talk about Tom Aspinall's eye. Apparently he's going in for a second surgery, or just had it, and by surgery I mean injections. I have no idea. Get a quote from him. God forbid I say something about it. Go ahead.
Jeez.
How close did you think you were to...
Here's your quote.
Catching strays, aren't I? Catching strays in my own living room on a Sunday morning. Right. That's it.
Tom Aspinall, the interim heavyweight king, is reportedly facing a second surgery, or at least a series of injections for his severely injured eye. This isn't a minor setback, it's a battle for his vision, a fundamental requirement for any fighter. The gravity of the situation extends far beyond the octagon, threatening his livelihood and long-term health. While fans clamor for updates, the grim reality is a lengthy and uncertain recovery, casting a long shadow over his career and the future of the heavyweight division.
The reports are out. The UFC asked Tom Aspinall to vacate the title until he was ready to go. And he said he'd be willing to vacate the title as long as they released him. Now, that opens the door so he can go ahead and box. This is a really weird situation. The heavyweight division is just a total shit show right now. And it's been a shit show since the John Jones coming in, not wanting to fight, you know, the interim champion, which was Tom Aspinall at the time, and then fighting Stipe. No disrespect to Stipe, you know, but it was just, John had something in mind, and the UFC didn't squash that. They allowed that fight to happen, and it just led into this thing where the heavyweight division's been on hold since the John Jones, what do we call it? Bottom line is, Jailton Almeida is gone. Okay, they just released him. Tom Aspinall, if he is gone, John Jones doesn't seem like he's coming back, especially not to the heavyweight division. We have a mess. We have a disaster on our hands. The heavyweight division and the 205-pound division, the light heavyweight division, both weight classes are the worst that they've ever been. And these used to be the pillars. This used to be what would carry the promotion. When the merger of Strikeforce and the UFC happened, the heavyweight had ever been. And the light heavyweight division, honestly, UFC was built off of the light heavyweight division. This is wild to me, man. The 135, 145, 155, and 170 right now are of MMA and definitely carrying the UFC. More to come.
Right, and I'm not defending Tom because I'm a friend of his, and I don't really even talk to Tom very much. We're not even friends like that. I was always an admirer of Tom's work, and I believed in his potential. A lot of people are talking shit because I get Cyril Gahn.
Dana White's refusal to comment on Aspinall's eye wasn't just avoidance, it ignited a firestorm of speculation. When the top boss goes silent on a major champion's injury, it hints at deeper issues behind the scenes. Could this be a sign of tension, or perhaps something more profound about Aspinall's future in the promotion? This silence only amplified whispers that something was fundamentally broken, and that the UFC might be ready to move on, leaving Aspinall to face his recovery largely out of the spotlight.
I think you're allowed to say, whoa, never mind the fight, I can't see. And then the crowd turned on him. And then this is where a lot of people are saying that he's milking it. Okay, after the fight, you know, they showed footage at the hospital and getting looked at by the doctors, and everyone was like, oh, you're milking it, you're milking it. And then I'm going to go through some of the comments on Twitter in a minute. The same kind of thing there, right? And maybe he was, right? Maybe there was a little truth to that, because I understand it, by the way, because he wants to show the world, hold on a minute, I'm the victim here. I'm the guy that got poked in the eye. I'm not the person out there that's committing the fouls. I had two fingers.
You saw the crowd turn.
The reports are stark. The UFC asked Tom Aspinall to vacate his interim title until he was fully recovered. Shockingly, Aspinall was willing to comply. This unprecedented move by a champion to relinquish a coveted belt reveals the immense pressure he's under and the brutal reality of his injury. But his willingness also opened a new, unexpected door, the possibility of him exploring options outside the UFC, perhaps even boxing. This decision was not made lightly. It underscores a fighter weighing his options in a treacherous situation.
Let's run it back. And I was dying to, because the fight was a close fight. And yeah, Tom's nose was busted up, and Cyril Gane was looking really good. But as fans, is that not what we want? Do we not want to see exciting fights? Do we not want to see back and forth competitive matchups?
The heavyweight division is a total shut show right now, a chaotic mess that has spiraled out of control. This instability began with John Jones's controversial decision to bypass fighting the interim champion, Tom Aspinall, in favor of a bout with Stipe Miocic. That move, allowed by the UFC, put the entire division on hold, creating a vacuum at the top. The lack of clear leadership and direction has left fans frustrated, leaving the future of the heaviest weight class hanging precariously in the balance.
We want to see legendary matchups as fans. We want to see good matchmaking. We want to see two guys that are the best in the world going toe-to-toe and pushing each other to the limit. And that's what we saw, right? It was a competitive match.
The current state of the UFC's premier weight classes is alarming. Not only is the heavyweight division in disarray, but the light heavyweight division is also suffering, arguably the worst it has ever been. These two divisions, once the undisputed pillars that carried the entire promotion and were foundational to its merger with Strikeforce, are now struggling significantly. This decline signals a dramatic shift in the UFC's landscape, as the organization now relies heavily on lighter weight classes to drive its success and viewership.
This is what a lot of the public fan base has had to say. Now granted, this is on Twitter, right? And we know Twitter is a bit of a cesspool of negativity and toxicity, right? I'm sure if we looked at the Instagram comments, it'd be a little more positive. But look at these guys. First of all, Grok, is this real? Come on, man. You really think the heavyweight champion of the world is out there? He's going to fake something like this? He's going to put some, like, I don't know, eye drops in his eyes and be playing a whole stunt? No, we all saw the eye pokes. We all saw the aftermath. We all saw the fallout. We all saw the appointments with the doctors. And now we're seeing 4 months later the fact that he's had surgery.
While the heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions falter, the UFC is now being carried by its lighter and middleweight classes. The 135, 145, 155, and 170-pound divisions are demonstrably where the excitement, talent, and consistent matchups are thriving. This generational shift marks a stark contrast to the promotion's origins, highlighting a complete transformation in its power dynamics. It's a clear indication of where the future of the sport is headed, away from the traditional Goliaths and towards faster, more technical contests.
It's not just ignorance, it's a direct slap to the face.
Despite the severity of his injury, Tom Aspinall is facing cruel accusations online. Many fans are suggesting he's milking it, faking or exaggerating his condition for personal gain. Footage from the hospital shared after his initial injury only fueled this cynical narrative. These brutal comments highlight a disturbing trend where the legitimacy of a fighter's injury is questioned, placing an immense psychological burden on an athlete already grappling with physical trauma and an uncertain future in the sport.
A warrior starts to question everything. It's not.
Twitter, as often happens, became a cesspool of negativity directed at Aspinall. Comments like, "Is this real? Come on, man. You really think the heavyweight champion of the world is out there playing a whole stunt?" flooded his feed. This kind of brutal cynicism, questioning the integrity of a fighter's injury, demonstrates a harsh reality of modern fandom. While some corners of social media might offer support, the overall sentiment, particularly on platforms like X, often turns vicious, further isolating athletes in their most vulnerable moments.
That he didn't even do. If anything, people should be more pissed at Cyril Gane, and then underneath that, Tommy's milking this shit, but hey, it is what it is. He wanted out of the UFC and got his chance. Now he'll sue for a few mil, and that will be that. And we could go on all day, we could go through it, but you get the general consensus, you know? I mean, fake, they said, right, I don't know. Listen, at the end of the day, these guys are talking out their arse. What do you mean he wanted out? This man has worked his way up. The man became the interim heavyweight champion of the world by stepping up on short notice and taking out Sergey Pavlovich.
To suggest Aspinall is faking his injury is not just ignorant, it's a direct insult to the brutal reality of combat sports. We all witnessed the eye poke, the immediate aftermath, and the subsequent doctor's appointments and surgeries. This isn't a movie set, it's a man's career, his vision, and his future on the line. Dismissing his pain as a stunt is a callous disregard for the immense physical and mental sacrifice every champion makes, revealing a fundamental misunderstanding of the stakes involved in the octagon.
And that's what he's done to the majority of his opponents. And yeah, you know, he had a couple of things that week with the DC and saying he was going to boxing and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, the fight was looking like a really, really good one. Now, I was excited for the rematch, and there's still been no talk of a rematch. Because, of course, there hasn't. How can you have a rematch when one half of the matchup is still going through medical clearance, still trying to get his vision back? And in fact, if you read out the actual statement from the doctor, this was an Instagram post, and this is what was written, but it was like written in third person. I think Tom shared it or something like that. It says, after his highly publicized eye poke injury.
This constant questioning and public skepticism shatter a fighter's faith, a wound deeper than any physical injury. When an athlete commits their entire being, their future, to a sport only for society to reject their dedication as false, it's a distinct form of devastation. This isn't just about fractured bones, it's about the soul-crushing weight of feeling betrayed. It forces a warrior like Aspinall to question everything, including whether their immense courage and sacrifice are truly valued.
We've been working closely with him on his recovery. Following his operation on both eyes, we continue the journey to get Tom's vision back to fighting fitness, right? Now, let's talk about that. What is fighting fitness? Well, I know this very well. The benchmark for having fighting fitness is
The whispers that Aspinall wants to quit the UFC are utterly backward. This isn't the mindset of a warrior seeking an easy exit. This is a man who stepped into a blazing inferno on short notice, confronted a beast like Sergey Pavlovich, and snatched the interim title from his grasp. That's not a person looking for a way out. That's a hunter driven by raw instinct, craving the undisputed crown. Real champions don't wish to leave the octagon. They crave the next fight, the next conquest.
But 2200 vision, all you gotta get is the top letter, the big old massive one, and then the two relatively big ones underneath that. If you can read those three letters, you have 2200 vision. I know this because I cheated the eye test many times to go on and have my legendary career, where I did end up in the Hall of Fame and with a few belts and stuff like that, right? So I know what I'm talking about. So to get Tom's vision back to fighting fitness means he's got to have 2200 vision.
The calls for a rematch with Cyril Gane are premature, bordering on insensitive. You cannot have a rematch when one half of the equation is still battling for his vision, awaiting medical clearance. This isn't a timing issue, it's the cage stealing a man's sight. His doctor's statement revealed a harrowing journey to get his vision back to fighting fitness. This harsh cost is precisely why Aspinall is eyeing all options, understanding that this contest takes everything, even beyond the immediate fight.
Talking about it online would say to me that the operation has been a success. So now it just is a matter of time before Tom to rest up, to heal from the surgery, and then come back and rematch Cyril Gane. But how long will that be? Because the one thing that you can't do, and I've said this in multiple other videos, you cannot rush this. When you rush back too soon, things can go wrong. When you operate on something, you weaken it. Anytime you go in there and drill or cut and slice and mess about with it, you weaken it. So you have to allow it a lot of time to restore, to heal 100%.
Achieving fighting fitness after a severe eye injury isn't about perfect 20/20 vision. The true benchmark for combat readiness is a cold, unfeeling 20/20 vision. This might sound surprisingly low, but it's the bare minimum required to even step into the cage, a precise gauge of a fighter's spirit being tested. Many legends, including the speaker, have admitted to cheating eye tests to meet this demanding standard, highlighting the extreme lengths fighters go to continue their careers.
I ignore all the negative comments on Twitter and Instagram and all these dickheads online because they don't know what they're talking about at the end of the day. You'll be back at some point. I look forward to it. I look forward to the rematch with Cyril Gane. And then then you'll get used to all this shit again. Everyone coming out the woodwork and talking crap. Anyway, what do you guys think about everything that I just said? What do you think about Tom's situation? Do you think they're going to bring in an interim champion? Is it going to be Cyril Gane versus Alex Pereira, something like that? I really don't know. But what do you think? As I say, always say, let me know in the comment section and subscribe.
You talk about
When Aspinall speaks of vision, one must ask, is it truly about his sight or is it his sheer will? This isn't about flawless ocular perfection. It's about combat intelligence and that raw warrior drive that propels you past every physical barrier. If a fighter is seeking an exit when the struggle demands even greater focus, then perhaps the champion's drive has faltered. The true test of a champion lies not just in their physical recovery, but in the unwavering mental fortitude to keep pushing forward.
Supposed to have when you're fighting the best people on the planet. So it's not that he was looking for a way out, it's that he got double poked in the eye. And now, as we say, here we are 4 months later, the man has had surgery. Not one, apparently he's had 2, right? And you can see the damage on the eyeballs, right? Anytime they mess with the eyes, I've had multiple eye surgeries, right? I lost my retina. You all know this story by now if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen this shit, right? Yeah, I lost an eyeball and I had a lot of surgery.
Every challenger craves the roar of the crowd. Every title holder exists for the belt. But the genuinely superior fighters, those with a sharp combat IQ, grasp a deeper truth. Sometimes a great warrior's tactic is understanding when to cease. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's the final decision of a fighter who comprehends his worth and knows when the reward simply isn't worth the supreme sacrifice. He's seen past the next bleeding nose, understanding the long-term cost to his body and mind.
Do you have any updates about the eye of Tom?
Rushing back from a severe eye injury isn't just risky, it can be career-ending. Every operation, every cut, every drill saps the eye's integrity, weakening it. The body demands time, a lot of time to fully restore and heal. Coming back too fast doesn't just risk another defeat, it jeopardizes an entire career. This isn't a game, it's a brutal struggle for survival in a sport that demands peak physical condition, especially when dealing with such a delicate and vital organ.
That's this one done. Next week, we've got the preview.
When I get back, the amiable person will vanish. Tom Aspinall's desire for freedom burns for reasons that transcend mere physical recovery. He's more than just a fighter, he's a tactician, and he understands that striking back involves not just one defeat but his total history. When the system compels you to battle while hurt, you have to question whether you're a victor or simply a casualty waiting to happen. The mental toll of such an injury, compounded by public doubt, can be far more devastating than any physical wound. The devastating truth for Aspinall is that he's a trapped hunter, wounded and forced to watch his division progress without him. This harsh reality is precisely why he's speaking of release. A champion's heart cannot stand still, cannot be sidelined indefinitely. The ultimate warrior spirit sometimes isn't about fighting the next man, it's about battling the enclosure itself, the system that stops your progress and demands you remain in a state of limbo. The UFC must pay attention when a competitor's destiny, not just their next fight, is at stake. To imagine the organization desires a hurt, angry fighter kept on the bench is a mistake. This isn't merely an appeal from Aspinall, it's a strategic move from a man who profoundly knows his own value. His decision to consider options outside the octagon is a direct consequence of a deeply flawed injury, a stark reminder that when the cage claims so much, a fighter certainly deserves to claim their liberty. The speaker's own multiple eye surgeries, including the loss of a retina, lend immense credibility to Aspinall's plight. These weren't just simple eye jabs, they were savage truths of the sport, digging into optic nerves and threatening entire careers. This personal experience underscores that Aspinall is not a quitter seeking to escape, but a top-level talent facing a life of impaired eyesight. When a champion faces such a profound threat, their desire for control over their destiny is completely justified. It's easy to dismiss Aspinall's situation with cynical comments or accusations of milking it, but that's a profound misunderstanding of the stakes. This isn't a minor inconvenience, it's a potential career-ending injury that impacts every aspect of his life. Fans demand legendary matchups and competitive fights, yet they often overlook the brutal cost to the athletes. Aspinall's struggle is a stark reminder that behind the highlight reels are real people facing life-altering challenges, and they deserve empathy and understanding, not baseless scorn. So what truly defines a champion in this unforgiving landscape? Is it merely winning inside the cage, or is it the wisdom to navigate the battles outside of it? Tom Aspinall's journey highlights a deeper truth. The greatest adversary might not be another fighter, but the system itself, coupled with the brutal toll of combat. His potential release, his pursuit of autonomy, is not a retreat but a calculated fight for his future. This saga challenges us to redefine heroism, recognizing that true strength sometimes lies in choosing a path that preserves one's legacy and well-being, even if it means stepping away from the immediate roar of the crowd.